So if you guys have ever Googled something in the finance or in the investing space, I'm sure you guys have found the Investopedia website ranking quite highly. And that's because these guys are pulling in some serious traffic in a very competitive niche where we require some pretty strong EEAT. So let's talk about all the things they're doing and what we can learn from them. And by the way, guys, if you want me to teach you SEO from scratch, check the link in the description for my complete SEO course and use the code APRIL at checkout for 20% off. So right off the bat, guys, if we go into ahrefs, we're going to see that Investopedia is getting around 40 million in monthly organic traffic. Pretty outrageous. And in my opinion, one of the strengths and one of the reasons that they're getting this much traffic is that they've stuck to what they know best, which is financial advice and investing, right? So that has allowed them to develop some pretty crazy topical authority. Now, as a way of showing you guys their topical authority, we could take a look at the tens of thousands of pages they have indexed on Google, but I do want to go a level deeper and try and quantify the topical authority that they've developed over the years. So one way of doing this is by going back into ahrefs, heading to the Keywords Explorer here and typing in one of their seed terms. I'm going to type in investing. I'm then going to go over to the matching terms and I'm going to export this whole list. Now, because of the plan that I have with ahrefs, I can only export 1,000 keywords. So I'm going to export that there. If you guys have a bigger ahrefs plan and you don't have that limit, I do recommend adding a volume filter here, maybe adding in 50 to kind of clean up the bottom of that list of keywords. Now, we're now going to go into sheets.new here, just type in a new sheet. I'm going to import that list of keywords. And the main thing here is we're not going to do anything complicated. I just want to take that clean list of 1,000 keywords that are related to that seed term that I added. So I'm going to replace the current sheet. I'm now going to select this whole thing. Just going to get rid of that. Go back into Keywords Explorer and paste in that full list of keywords. Now, what we're then going to do is go over to traffic share and click by domains. And the main thing here is pretty simple, guys. We're just taking a look at the domains that have taken over most of the traffic share for those 1,000 keywords that are most related to that seed term. We see that at the top, we have investing.com with an 11% share, but then we have investopedia.com with a 9% share. Now, this isn't going to be a perfect metric and a perfect way of quantifying topical authority, but it can give us a pretty good indicator if we go trying out all the different seed terms that are related to our domain. It's also a pretty cool way of taking a look at all the different keywords that your competitors are ranking for with all the pages and all the different things that they're doing. So Investopedia has definitely developed some pretty solid topical authority. That's not a secret, but let's take a look at how they're actually ranking. Take a look at some of the different sections of their website. So if we open up this overview on ahrefs here and we go down to top subfolders, we're going to see that there's three main subfolders that are responsible for the biggest chunk of their traffic. The first one is terms, which is basically like a glossary, a dictionary of all the different financial terms that they cover. And that's responsible for 66% of the traffic. We're going to take a look at that. Then they have articles. You guys can imagine what that is. And then they have an ask section, around 5% of that traffic. Now, this term section is honestly insane. And we're going to talk about a few different things here. But the first one is the amount of featured snippets that they're getting. The second thing is how they've been able to adapt their content to all the different changes that Google has gone through. And it's honestly making me question whether more websites should have this type of glossary or definition type section on their websites, try and steal some of that hyper informational traffic. Anyway, let's talk about these keyword snippets. So if we take a look at the organic keywords here, and we're going to see they have 2.1 million organic keywords that they're ranking for. But if we add a filter where we're just taking a look at the featured snippets, we're going to see that they have 800,000 featured snippets. So that's around 40% of the keywords that they're ranking for are featured snippets. It's honestly insane. But the craziest thing is that if we open up some of these pages, we're going to see that there seems to be a pretty obvious pattern behind this featured snippet. They've employed a snippet bait formula that seems to be working quite well for them. So if we scroll down, so they're ranking for customer service, and this is what's being pulled up, right? So what is customer service? This is the snippet bait that I'm talking about. So they have that what is plus the keyword in an H2, and then they have that keyword again right there as the first few words in that paragraph, and then they have a short but complete definition of that specific keyword. So if I type in customer service, we're going to see that it's pulling up that specific section. So again, just the section that we just took a look at right now. Now, if we go and check out quantum computing, for example, this same exact thing. So what is plus the keyword in an H2, quantum computing. Again, the first few words of the snippet bait is going to be that main keyword and then that concise definition. And we can see the same for a third example here. So what is this specific form, this form, and then the rest of the definition. Now, pretty amazing. I can't guarantee that it'll work for your site, but if you're interested in learning more about featured snippets, I do have a full video, which you can check out right here. Now, another interesting thing about this specific section of their website is if we take a look at the overview here, we're going to see that over over time, the traffic has increased significantly, but this yellow line is representing the amount of pages that have been published for this specific section, right? It seems to be that it hasn't really changed that much, and that's probably for a good reason. There's only so many terms that Investopedia can define in the finance and the investing space, but how is it that the organic traffic has shot up over the past few years? Now, it could be a lot of different things. Their domain rating has also gone up. Over time, they've gotten more and more backlinks, so that's definitely one of the things. So if you actually take a look at the Wayback Machine, so this is basically just a copy of what one of their pages used to look like. We're taking a look at the version of June 29th in 2019, so around 4 years ago. And we compare this content to the content that we have today. We can see how they've adapted their content to all the different changes that Google has gone through. And as a result, they're getting a lot more traffic for the same amount of pages that they've published, right? So the first thing we're going to see is the author, right? So we only have one author here. We're going to be talking about this in just a second. They have an author, they have someone who reviews it, and then they have a fact checker. We'll dive more into that in a second. Now, the next thing is they have this snippet bait that seems to be working very well. I think that's one of the main reasons why their traffic is shooting up so much, right? They're ranking higher and getting more featured snippets, and as a result, they're getting more traffic. So if we take a look at the version of 2019, the definition was good, right? But it's not very featured snippet friendly, so they've definitely changed that and it's working out for them. And the last thing here is that the page is quite short, right? There isn't really that much content in there. The definition is solid, but obviously the definition today and that page today is a lot longer, a lot more in depth. It also helps a lot with that user experience, right? That user is going to find absolutely everything they need from this definition, right? So features, the limitations, the development, the FAQs, so on and so forth, right? A lot more complete and a lot more prepared for the SEO for today. Now, let's talk about EEAT. This is where these guys absolutely shine. So as we reviewed just now, we have that author, we have someone who's reviewed that piece of content, and we can go into their bio, take a look at their experience and their background, which is incredible, right? A professor for 34 years, so on and so forth. And then we have someone who is exclusively a fact checker for Investopedia. So that's interesting. I'm not sure if I've seen this before. This is someone who exclusively does fact checking. And we can see all their experience, where she's worked at Condé Nast, at Vanity Fair, Glamour, so on and so forth. So if you guys are looking for a phenomenal example of EEAT, then take a look at Investopedia, guys. If we also take a look at this reviewed by section, we can scroll down into the financial review board. I'm pretty sure Healthline has the same thing, but also for the health niche. And you can check out all their board members and what that review board takes care of and all of their experience and so on and so forth. The last thing I want to talk about is this editorial policy. If you guys have a website in the YM/YL space, guys, please take a look at this specific editorial policy. It is incredibly complete. So feel free to take a look at that on your own time. And the last thing I want to leave you guys is this specific excerpt in their editorial policy. So we aspire to provide the highest quality content, and it is against our guidelines to publish automatically generated content using AI and with ChatGPT. So it is interesting that they're being so clear and outspoken about how they're not using AI, they're not using ChatGPT to create content. I personally think that's great. I know of other massive websites that are using it and that are getting traffic. So it is going to be interesting to see how this develops if Investopedia ever gets to a point where they are using AI and how they're going to be upfront about it. If you like this type of video, then I recommend you guys check out this specific playlist where I break down a lot more successful SEO strategies. I'll see you guys in the next one.